War Eagle, everybody, how sweet it is. The Tigers are going to Atlanta. They take down the Creighton Blue Jays. We are going to talk about it here in our post-game reaction show. We have a lot to discuss. Certainly the score, certainly the stats, and certainly those sweet, sweet storylines. Let's get into all those different things right now. War Eagle, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about the Auburn experience. That Auburn experience is always about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us on this particular live stream. What do we have in store for you? We are reacting to Auburn defeating Creighton in the round of 32 in Lexington, Kentucky. Your Tigers are victorious. They will be moving on to Atlanta, and the Auburn family will begin to descend upon the Atlanta backyard that they know so well. Bruce Pearl makes it to the Sweet 16. I'm already giving you all the storylines to start off the show. So let's get into it. Let's start off as we always do with the score, the stat, and the storyline. Your score, 82-70. The Tigers survive an onslaught by way of the Creighton Blue Jays, and they did a very good job, Creighton did, of making this thing scary in the first half. The big stat that I have for you tonight is the Tigers make it past the round of 32 for the first time since 2019. Obviously, we know what happened in that particular year, in that particular special run. And the big storyline for you, I've already said it 1,000 times. The Auburn Tigers are victorious and moving on to the Sweet 16 as the number 1 overall seed, as still, in some people's mind, the favorite to win the tournament. I think there's probably some other candidates out there that are making a pretty strong case too. But there you go. The stat, the storyline, the score, whichever order you want to put them in. Let's talk about it. I want to hear from all of you, so don't be shy. Go ahead and jump into the chat. Let us know that you're here, whether you're watching live, replay, all that stuff. I know so many of you right now are celebrating. I know so many of you right now that are usually here live are going to buy your tickets. You're probably jacking up the price for me, so thank you so much for that, by the way. And we wait. When we don't wait, we actually know who the Tigers will play in Atlanta, and that will be the Michigan Wolverines. Now, hold on to your horses with the forward-looking things, as I always ask you to, especially on the live portion. We will talk about that at the end. What we want to discuss here to start off the show is the team stats, the individual stats, the storylines amongst that. We want to hear from you and talk about a few of the things that are on your minds from this game. This is a reaction show. This is where our focus is mainly going to be. But don't be shy. Go ahead and pop into the chat. Let us know that you're here. There are already plenty of celebrations that were coming before the final seconds even tipped off. I think we all could feel it building there. So many awesome celebrations from across the country. So many of our great people are here to hang out with us tonight. We do, I think, need to go ahead and start right here. WT Cardwell bringing the defense tonight, and he was outstanding, and he does end up cramping towards the end of the game there, and when we really probably needed what he was bringing tonight. Now, statistically, he doesn't have like the most amazing game in the world. It's a typical Cardwell game, but I think and hear me when I say this. I know the majority of you recognize the importance of Dylan Cardwell, but I think tonight it really showed in his defense and what he had to come up against Kalkbrenner, the 7'2" spawn of the Nephilim behemoth that was out there, and a tough guy to handle. And it makes it even tougher when he can shoot the three and having to force whoever's on him, Dylan or otherwise, to go out there. So can we all agree? Well, actually, I don't know. Let's find out from those in the live chat. Who is your player of the game? You probably have a few candidates tonight that you maybe want to give some credit to. So if you've got a player of the game, type POTG. It helps me out just for the viewing purposes and the player's name. And we'll see what you guys think in terms of who is your player of the game for Auburn versus Creighton. What an incredible performance by so many of the guys tonight. But certainly there are some kudos that we need to hand out across the board. We'll start with Dylan Cardwell, since I've given you guys a little bit of a leg up on what I think who y'all should be giving it to. Some of you are in the chat right now. Dylan Cardwell goes 3 for 3 on the day. He doesn't make his free throws. I'm sorry. He has a total of 4 rebounds, on the day, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He only commits 1 turnover and only 2 personal fouls. He does finish with 6 points on the day. So while I think statistically there are some great performances here to point out and give shout outs to, as so many of you guys are already doing in the chat, I just want to go ahead and start the show with obviously Dylan Cardwell and what he brought to the game tonight. Statistically, intangibly, this is the guy that on the radio, everybody's talked about it for the last 2 days, along with assistant coach Stephen Pearl, really called out his players. And let me just notice let me point out something here, folks. The players can do that better than you. So just let the players and the coaches do that part. Let them handle the calling out aspect of it. Just because you need to vent something doesn't mean you should. So anyway, sorry, quick little soapbox there. But certainly Dylan Cardwell, the way he responded after the last game, saying we got to step up. We got to be. I just realized something, guys. I haven't even brought this up on the screen yet. I normally have a little dynamic. I'm so excited to be here talking with you guys this evening. I didn't even put myself in the actual final score thing here. So that'll be a little bit prettier to look at. There's Dylan Cardwell stuff. You guys have been giving me some players to consider as we roll through here. We've got a Cardwell player of the game, obviously, a Dylan, another Dylan, just because of the defense, another one there. Tahad got some love as well. We'll look at his stats in a little bit. CBM certainly did that. Daniel points out Pettiford, he made his free throws when the game came down towards the end. This is what great teams do. When they have the opportunity to shut someone down, to put them away, you do it. What I was begging for the entire game was, please, when you get a lead, create yourself a little bit of separation, because Creighton was going to go on another run, as they have shown they're capable to, not just in this game, but the previous game. And so we knew that was going to be coming at some point. I think it was a 7-0 run they had. They're late. Oh, man, that got a little scary there at the end. And when they started getting to shoot a few more foul shots, thankfully they didn't have as successful of a day either from the free throw line. We'll talk about that in just a second. But there you go. All right, individual stats we haven't talked about tonight. So many of you have called out Tahad. Let's look at his points and everything today. And that's probably going to be your player of the game statistically. 7 of 14, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He does amass 6 rebounds, 3 assists, only 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, 23 points for Tahad Pettiford. You got to look at him, I think, and say, that might be player of the game material right there. I mean, he doesn't just score points. He gets a significant amount of rebounds for a guard. He's sharing the ball. He's not committing too many turnovers. Played really great today. So kudos, hats off to him. Tip of the cap, whatever you want to say. That's probably your player of the game as well. Some of you guys gave love to Chad Baker-Mazara. I think this is a player everybody wanted to see step up a little bit more, given how he's been on a little bit stretch. He gets a little bit injured tonight too. Hopefully it's nothing he can't overcome with the rest that he will have. 6 of 12 on the day, 2 for 4 from the three-point line, 3 for 1 from the free throw line. Three-point line, free throw line. I think I said that correctly. We have a total of 2 rebounds for him, 1 assist, and 17 total points. So he is your second leading scorer overall. So how about that? Here's a great thing to point out for everybody that loves to talk about Chad, and his antics and his energy and his unique personality. No fouls for Chad Baker-Mazara. Tahad, you might get the player of the game taken away from you just because of that fact alone, alongside what he did. We'll give it to Tahad. He had a great game, especially coming off the bench. So you really got to give that to him. Dylan, you got to give his flowers too, as we've already done. Chad, there you go. So your top scorers tonight are Tahad with 23, Chad Baker-Mazara with 17, and who we haven't given any flowers yet to. I hope that this is George, an actual George, and not some spamming on YouTube. So, George, if you are legit, you need to do that privately and not on our chat, please. But if you're a spammer, as I think you are, we're going to take care of you post haste. This is the great thing about watching the show live and then getting to listen to replay. You miss out on the antics sometimes that happen here in the chat. So you guys always be careful of people trying to sell you tickets, especially on Facebook. Sometimes that can be spammers and stuff like that. We'll see if that actually ends up being true or not. I'll look into that. But either way, you shouldn't be trying to solicit that in the in the chat right now. So moving on, your leading scores, as I said, Tahad Pettiford 23, Chad with 17, Denver Jones with 16, 5 for 8 from the field, makes all his 3-pointers 2 for 2, makes all his free throws 3 for 3, 3 rebounds for him, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers, and he gets 15 points today. So those are some great stats from everybody out there. So many other celebrations starting to roll in. People already want us to look at some of the team stats. We're going to get there and look at that a little bit. Here's a great thing to point out. Daniel's asking, I want to know why Moore didn't play. Well, Moore didn't play because he was injured last game and he rolled his ankle, and he obviously still wasn't 100%. Chris Moore plays if Chris Moore is healthy and can contribute significantly. So let me just take a quick aside to use this too. You've got Chris Moore dealing with an ankle injury that's probably going to take some time to heal. That's just based off of what we know from the last game. Just speculating. I don't know that for 100%. You've got Dylan, who had some cramping issues, who certainly can be cleared up. But then you've also got Chad, who got hit with some type of bruise situation in his hip, and it really was affecting him down the stretch. So you got 3 guys that are a little bit banged up. Certainly going to need to get them some rest and get them shored up. But that is why Chris Moore is I would assume, at least speculate, that he didn't play any tonight. So Auburn only plays 8 guys out of their normal 9 to 10 that they rotate. Ja'Kai gets some minutes tonight. Jaheim Hudson didn't get any. I thought he would get a few with the size that like Kalkbrenner that Creighton was bringing to the table this evening. Let's look through the rest of stats here. Obviously, we haven't talked about Janai. Now, folks, look, Janai is certainly going through a little bit of a quieter stretch for him. I think a lot of you are starting to jump on his back, and when I say you, it's not directed at anybody in particular, but certainly we always want to see our best player do his best. He obviously hasn't played as up to his potential in the last couple of games, but we've seen him do that before and then just go on an absolute tear. So the great thing is we get to see him play again. We get to see him do much better. He gets to do it probably with a much larger Auburn crowd here definitely here in Atlanta. But he gets 8 points tonight, 4 for 13 from the field, didn't make his free throws. He gets 12 rebounds, though, and he almost gets a double-double if he gets 2 more points. A couple free throws. He had 2 free throw opportunities. He makes them. He's in a double-double again. He gets a steal. He gets a block. I thought Janai tonight had very up and down moments. There were moments where you're really like, oh, yeah, definitely we're seeing the Janai come out that we know, and then we kind of had, misses free throws, things like that. So certainly it's a little bit of a rough stretch for him right now, but he's still the best player in college basketball and the National Player of the Year, and nothing else is going to change that from my mind. We talked about Dylan already. We talked about Miles tonight. Was a little bit of a anomaly. He does end up getting 5 points, but he got into foul trouble early. He only ends up with 3, but they came quickly, and they just came very unfortunately for him. So he was slightly removed from the game from what we've been used to, especially with the way he played in Rupp last game and versus Kentucky. I think that's it. Chaney Johnson with 8 points tonight. He really came on strong especially in the first half. Like to see him show up and show out early. So that's your individual stats. I know that you guys want to talk about the next game. We're going to get there. Hold your horses. Let's look at some of the team stats real quick, and we'll take some more commentary as we're rolling through here. There's still just a ton of celebrations and people giving players of the games and shout outs and things like that. Chris says that when Auburn plays good defense, it usually works out. Well, that's not just an Auburn thing. That's just a basketball thing. But your point stands, Chris. Excuse me. All right. So many of you have talked about free throws. So let me move over to the team stats. As I've warned you, I'm having to use a different stat sheet than I normally do because I don't have access to it right now. So we're using ESPN. So I'm still getting used to navigating theirs as quickly. Certainly, your free throws are going to be much better when you shoot 59%, or it was less than that, actually, 52 something percent like last game. All right, let's talk about it. Your big 3 things that we always talk about in the final analysis of this game, the things that we focus on in team stats are, say them with me, free throws, rebounds, and turnovers. Let's see how Auburn did versus Creighton in each of those categories. We got 71.4% for Auburn in free throws, 61.5%. Auburn wins that category. Certainly a significant increase from the last game. Not to my high water mark of 80, but it is it's going to be much better looking tonight than it was the night before. Rebounds, Auburn wins by a differential of 10, 27-37. So that's two of those main categories that I talk about often with you guys. That is a win for Auburn as well. And finally, total turnovers tonight, 11 for Creighton, only 7 for Auburn. Right about the sweet spot where they tend to be. It was shocking. Creighton played great in the first half outside of their turnovers. In fact, I would argue, had they not turned the ball over so much with the way they were shooting the three ball, we would be in a much bigger world of hurt going into the half, being only down by 2 in reality, had those turnovers not have happened. So that's a credit to Auburn's defense, but it's also an area of deficiency for Creighton in this game. Auburn wins all the categories. So in a tight game like this, where you're playing the best of the best in college basketball, winning those certainly makes your life a little bit easier and can tell the tale of the tape for the 70-82 win for the Tigers. There's more stats to look at, but right there alone, I'm just going to point to you as to what actually happened in the game. The free throws, the turnovers, and the rebounds. Okay, anything else in the team stat? We're going to go through them real quickly, and then we'll get to the future talk. But if you've got a comment, a point that you want to address about an individual, something team stats, a storyline throughout the game, please bring it up. I've been skipping over a few of them just because I'm jazzed up right now. I'm all jazzed up. Let's see here. Daniel says that Broome is getting all the attention, so the other players are having to pick it up. That's why a bench player is getting 23 points and player of the game. He's also getting the player of the game because he just played out of his mind. And he's done that a lot this year, and we really are thankful to have a guy that has found his role coming off the bench and flourishes in that. So many of you are saying just because someone scores a certain amount means that they need to replace somebody on the starting line. That's not necessarily true. It can be true, but it's not necessarily holistically true. This team is working very well the way things are right now. Austin, my co-host for the Auburn Experience, says, I've been hard on Dylan this year. He absolutely made me eat it tonight. Absolute dog on defense. He certainly gets his normal amount of points tonight, but we talked about it early, Austin, how integral to the win he is tonight. That's what leaders do. They show up, they show out, and they lead by example. So he, people want to say, quote unquote, called his teammate out. I think it's just bringing attention to what everybody was seeing, right? But they have the authority and the responsibility, but the right to do that as fellow teammates or coaches, assistant coaches, things like that. He showed up and showed out in all facets. And that was a weird way to say that, Kyle, in all facets tonight. Corey thinks we need to be a little bit more aggressive as a team. You might have a little bit of a point there. I think tonight some people are going to point to what they're calling a lack of a 3-point defense. And you're probably somewhat correct in that, but you also can play great defense and they can still just shoot the ball well, despite your great defense on 3 points. So there's probably a mix of that more than just one or the other. And you got to give credit to Creighton tonight. Let's look at it and see what they did overall. It probably is a little bit lower by the end. Creighton shoots 47%, beating Auburn in a 46.9% field goal percentage. They shoot 44.4% from the 3-point arc. This is what I was scared of, folks. Auburn defeats that incredible 3-point shooting by having a decent night 3-point shooting themselves, but those big 3 categories that we talked about much earlier. So some of that aggressiveness certainly could have been felt a little bit lacking with the way that they were getting open shots and 3-point to start the game. But if you rush out there too much, you're opening up Kalkbrenner and the other guys down low to just annihilate you down there. So I think it was a little bit of a risk-reward trade-off in my view for what they were doing. It certainly looked like we were losing in that category, but when you're only down by 2 and they had already made 9 threes, that's saying something right there about the team. Scott says the defensive shutdown in the second half was the difference in the game, in my opinion. Defense, free throws, they win championships. Funny how that works, isn't it? Great point, Scott. A couple other team stats tonight. What haven't we talked about yet? Steals and blocks. Steals, Auburn wins 5-2. Blocks, they win 4-1. Assists tonight actually is in the favor of the Blue Jays, they get 17 to Auburn's 11. So they shared the ball well, but not well enough. Not to the standards that they typically do. Maybe if they had this been flip-flopped, I'd be a little bit more satisfied with that. Points off of turnovers is in the favor of Creighton. Fast break points was in the favor of Creighton by a few. Points in the paint. Look at this number right here. If you had told me that Auburn would win points in the paint tonight with Kalkbrenner in there, 24 to 42. Wow. Absolutely wow. Absolutely wow. I see my co-host asking for a update on the bracket contest brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. Thank you to them. The prize is going to the winner of that. If I remember to, I'm taking it. That means he's either at the top or near the top there. If he's wanting it read aloud, you'll get your time tomorrow. Definitely, Austin. Well, actually, you may be different tomorrow, so maybe he wants it now. Let's see here. Any other team stats that we haven't rolled through? 17 fouls for Creighton tonight, and that's really because they had to play the foul game at the end. 14 for Auburn, so it's pretty fairly called. No technical fouls, no flagrant fouls. Biggest lead for Auburn was 14. Fast break points, Creighton wins that. There you go. There's the team stats. There's the individual stats. There's some of the storylines. I know we haven't covered them all, so if there's something that we haven't brought up that you want to talk about this game, this current matchup, what happened here, please put that in the chat, and we'll try to carry that on over in some of our discussions. But we do want to talk about the future a little bit too, and I know some of y'all are itching to discuss that to round out the show. So before we do that, let's go ahead and cover our stuff that we always do, the reminders, the things that you need to know about what's going on here at E2C Network. You would think I'd have the thing ready for you, but I don't. But remember, we will be playing Michigan. That'll be a post-game stream for that on whatever day it is. I don't think we've gotten that announced yet. If I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me in the chat. I'm doing this live, so I missed some things that are kind of actively happening while I'm live. Don't miss that. They win, we'll do another. Well, hold up on that. Live reactions, if I'm there, it's going to be a little bit delayed. I think you guys will understand. That's a big if right now with those prices. Trying to get there. So, what do you have up next for you? The Auburn Experience, our live recording for our podcast, episode 118. There will be a lot of celebration, how sweet it is on that one, and plenty of other Auburn topics, Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. Austin will be there. I'll be there. Don't miss it. 9 Eastern time on Sunday nights. We'll do the live recording on YouTube. We'll have an Auburn family night this week. I don't have that ready for you guys, so that you can expect your normal Wednesday, Sunday stuff. And there's going to be spring practice and pro days starting this week, so be looking for a lot of content on that. There's a lot going on this week, especially now with the addition of some more games next week in for Auburn basketball, which I am loving. I'm loving it. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the things that you guys brought up. Let's look towards the future to round out the show here and see what's going on here in the chat. Kevin says, Kelly had a quiet game, but he'll bounce back. Well, it's really when you have the game that you had twice at Rupp, and then you juxtapose it with this, it's certainly going to seem quiet. He had a little bit of foul trouble earlier, which certainly hurt things. Ethan says, let's go. I don't think Michigan can hang with us. Please put Denver Jones on Trey. He's been on a heater. I'm so excited that we get to see Trey Donaldson again. It was the biggest disappointment of the offseason that he chose to leave. I think he would have flourished on this team that doesn't have a true point guard, but then this team also wouldn't be working as well as it does if you, we can assume. They work so well together with who's playing their current roles and their current setup. Who knows if that would have messed things up? It can happen like that. Devin says they're a turnover machine, so we'll be looking to see if that carries over. Spears says 23 for Creighton first half was great. What did he do in the second half? Are you talking about Kalkbrenner? No, who are you talking about? Good coaching. We have the best. Okay, I'm not sure what you were getting at there, but I read it there. Austin says it's a non-E2C employee winner, though. Austin, and sorry, this is like shop. Austin, you're not an employee. One day, maybe. Sorry. So I think you can win it, to be honest with you. But we'll see how it works out. We'll talk about that. If you want to donate it, you can. we'll handle that. I see. No, I'm not going. Sorry. Quick aside. I know y'all want to talk about the stuff, but my wife Jessica, I gotta give her a shout out. I love her obviously to death, and she's gonna love that I'm doing this again. She won it last year for us. She did not get. She got the prize of winning, but the prize was given to our runner-up because we are not going to do that. It's unethical for someone attached directly to me to win that. Anyway, that's how it works. Let's see here. Where are we at in the chat? I want to make sure we're not missing things tonight. Ethan says, I will say I like that we stayed away from doubling in the paint. I didn't really notice that, but you're probably correct. He says it's Friday, Sunday, but I have no idea what time. So there you go. Austin gave us the update on when we're playing. That's probably the best case scenario for me personally, but we'll see if I can get there or not. Chris says, thanks for what you do. I appreciate that. I thank you guys for being here. It makes it easy. Sally said, who's coming over tonight? I don't know what this is about, but that's interesting. What else do we got in the chat here before we get into some final commentary here? Okay, I think we've covered the majority of it, but if anything else important comes up, I'll bring it up. So looking forward, Michigan, some of you guys have talked about it. Supposedly they're not as strong in the turnover department, which certainly would lead Auburn with their great defense to set up there. It seems like they've got a little bit of trouble. I want to remind you all, a certain 7-foot center that gave us trouble with a different team last year is one of their 2 7-foot centers, Wolf. He's back again. Couple that with Trey Donaldson. Couple that with their coach, who's great. He led FAU to their great run and has done pretty good with Michigan as well. There's a lot of trouble with Michigan. So let's celebrate it. Let's enjoy it. But folks, the road has not gotten any easier. We've talked about it from the beginning. Auburn was given a crap draw in this thing. And that's not complaining. That's just facts. There's a statistic on the March Madness coverage that proves that. That's just talking about facts. The number 1 seed was giving the hardest region to get out of. It is proving to be that. Alabama State certainly did give us a little bit of scare in the first half, but we put them away. Creighton was exactly the scary team that we thought they were going to be. And thankfully, your Tigers are strong enough to put them away, to put them into the Sweet 16. Michigan is ahead. Thankfully, they get rid of Texas A&M for us, so we don't have to see Buzz Williams again. But if you get beyond that, you probably got to face Michigan State. We'll find out tomorrow what happens on that side. There's probably too much forward thinking, but just thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But Michigan is who is up ahead, a reunion with Trey Donaldson, and I'm looking forward to that and see how we go there. Anything else here? Austin said, let's not forget who else is on that team. Katie Hurrell knows a lot about BP and Auburn. That is a great point. So we talked a lot about, Austin and I did, about Auburn's path to the Final Four, if they can do that, when we were previewing the tournament last podcast. And we talked about so many of the connections, the storylines, the opportunities for revenge, the opportunities to see players that you've seen previously that have given you trouble, former players, former coaches that were players for us. There are so many things that are crazy in this region, which is making it so fun, but also so difficult to get to the Final Four. The work is not done. The difficulty is not behind us, but we are capable of doing this as we continue to move. And I say we like I'm on the team, but you guys understand what I'm saying. As the team continues to find their footing again and show that they deserve this number 1 overall seeding as the top number 1 seed, is a great journey to be upon. I hope you guys are taking solace in that, enjoying that, not just fretting and fearing about the future. This is so much fun, and this is awesome. I cannot think of a better time to be an Auburn basketball fan than right now, with what this team has accomplished this year so far and what they are doing right now, even through a little bit of adversity they faced in the back end of the season. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It is always a joy to talk with you all about post-game streams and things like that. And I'm thankful that at least one more time we get to do this. I don't want it to ever end, but at some point it will. Hopefully it ends with the big one at the end. Austin, one more reminder there. He says, let's hear that bold prediction again, Kyle. I'm warming up to it. My bold prediction, and I will say it again, and it's a big if Auburn makes it out of this region, they will win the national title. I understand that Florida potentially will be there to face us in the Final Four if we make it. I understand that Houston, Duke, Alabama, somebody else, Tennessee might be there who are just as good as us. But I'm calling it right now. If Auburn makes it out of the Sweet 16 Elite Eight in Atlanta to the Final Four, they will win the national title. I will stand by it. That is a big if. Anyway, that is my final commentary. I thank you all for being here, for hanging out with us and spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. Looking forward to doing this again with you tomorrow night, on Sunday nights for the Auburn Experience, Wednesday nights for the Auburn Family Night, but also for a post-game show at some point in the Sweet 16 with hopefully celebrating a win. Thank you guys for hanging out. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.